from the fact that within this House there seems to have been a change, that now no one really is pushing just for Clause 9 to stay as it was, and I very much welcome that. I rise really to speak in support of the Noble Lord Farmer's Amendment 44 and to say a few words on what I thought was a wonderful speech by the Noble Lady Morrissey and her amendments, and I would support those when and if they are called, as well as Amendment 44. Surely this House's role has to be to help enact law that are actually necessary and proportionate according to evidence. And I really haven't seen the evidence that says this is necessary to enact this whole area around abortion clinics when we have already, as has been pointed out by other noble lords, legislation that covers many, and indeed all of the activities that all of us would find abhorrent. I think the importance of a review is that we can actually test whether, for example, the public space protection orders, are they working? It seemed they were working when the lady who was silently praying was arrested. Have we looked at the detail of that? What is working about it? What isn't working? Why does we need something else when that is there? And I think as a minimum the House should be reviewing, and the government should be reviewing the PSPO regime to see whether it is working as intended, because good evidence makes good law. And the opposite is also unfortunately true. Now, clearly there is an appetite in the other place to get something, to do something, need to do something. It's always something that politicians call for. Something needs to be done, and they want to do it quickly. There's an appetite to act now. And if that's so, then I think the House would do well, if they don't adopt Amendment 44, to adopt a reasonable model based on a tried and tested approach. And for that reason, I would be supporting the amendments in the name of the noble Baroness Lady Morrissey.
I'm very grateful for the noble lady to give way, and I just want to make a point. Perhaps I'm the only member of this chamber that actually has that evidence. But I've had that evidence for years. I remember it started with in vitro fertilization, which was regarded as abortion then, when my patients were repeatedly harassed and made ill as a result of what was happening to them in the street outside Hammersmith Hospital and in other clinics, not only in mine. There is plenty of evidence to show that women were deeply distressed, and this made a very difficult issue for their care afterwards.
Well, I'm sure the Lord is absolutely right in what he's saying, and of course women would be distressed by that kind of behaviour. What I'm arguing for is that actually, is it necessary to go to this kind of draconian way of dealing with something? And for me, the real problem with the noble Lady Baroness Suggs' amendments is that the word influencing, and I know she has said that has been seen to be perfectly okay, but I believe it goes much further than is necessary to achieve the law's stated aims. And I genuinely believe that it has grave implications for freedom of speech in the country, and that it's a drip approach and a very slippery slope to other ways in which freedom of speech will be attacked. And I just would reiterate what's been said by a number of other lords, that the UK Supreme Court's ruling on Northern Ireland's law cannot be interpreted as a judicial mandate to endorse Amendment 45, because Amendment 45 is not, in many ways, very different to Northern Ireland's law. It is what we're trying to do here, noble lords, moving Amendment 45. It's much more draconian. And I do think that the Australian model, which was mentioned and moved by Lady Morrissey, is reasonable, is effective and clear, and the Australian courts have interpreted what the communication prohibition means, and the requirement that the communication must be reasonably likely to cause distress or anxiety, I think suggests that the law is tailored more properly to its objectives. It avoids over-criminalisation, and it's responsive to the distinctions on the types of activities that Clause 9 should capture, made at committee stage by noble lords on both sides, actually, of this debate. So I really would urge the noble lords to agree to a reasonable approach, the most reasonable, of course, which is being moved by Noble Lord Farmer. And if not, then if others decide that we need to do more, then I hope that we would be able to support Amendment 41 to 43, tabled by the Noble Lady Morrissey, and ensure that we protect women without completely disregarding civil liberties.
My Lord.